Today's awesome dude of the week is Chanakya. Renowned scholar and generally acknowledged to be the smartest guy around. He didn't much appreciate invading India and was absolutely furious that all the little kingdoms didn't join together to resist the attack. Was like,
Fine. If y'all won't team up to fight against foreign invaders, I'll just have to unite everyone myself.
he wasn't really in a position to do that though, so he found a young prince in whom he saw great potential. And his prince conquered everything, united India for the first time ever, and founded an empire. The prince's son later took over, and then his grandson was one of the coolest guys ever. Was the mastermind behind it all. Plenty of dudes have unified everyone and founded empires and conquered places and reconquered places and expanded the empire and all that, but very few left us a how-to manual. Was not only the brains behind, but he also invented economics and political science. That's right, invented economics. Opportunity cost, supply and demand, the law of diminishing returns, marginal analysis, public goods, short run versus long run, asymmetric information, producer surplus. That was all in his book. As for political science, you had a couple of Greek dudes, some Chinese folks, and he was the most thugged out realist ever. In that same book where he invented economics, he talks politics and also addresses topics like bribery and deceit and assassinations and such. Because of this, is sometimes compared to Machiavelli. Niccolo Machiavelli was a smart dude who was really into government and politics and all that. He wrote a bunch of books about history and warfare and also translated things, wrote a stage play and poems and novels and all sorts of stuff. Was a prolific guy with lots of good ideas, but all stupid people seem to know about him is this one book. Folks like to think it contains good advice. But what did anyone ever accomplish following it? Seriously, what did any of Machiavelli's princes ever do? Prince conquered India and founded the greatest empire in the history of South Asia. His protege had a pretty nice domain by the time he was in his early 20s. Expanded it a bit over the years, and then handed it over to his son. Retired in his early 40s to become an ascetic, and not long thereafter starved himself to death. That's right, the most powerful emperor South Asia had ever had retired in his early 40s to become an ascetic, and not long thereafter starved himself to death. Not suicide, but his life has served its purpose, and it was time for him to go. Some years earlier, the wife of the emperor had died during childbirth, but reckoned he could save the baby if he performed a cesarean section on her. Except, of course, they weren't called cesarean sections back then, since this was a couple of hundred years before. Rescued the baby, who grew up to be an emperor himself. This new emperor had a bunch of advisors, some of whom were very jealous of. One of them told the emperor that his mother had died because killed her. This was a really stupid and completely untrue rumor, but the emperor nonetheless got all upset. Upon hearing this, was like,
Psst, whatever.
Gave all his money to widows and orphans, and then sat down and started to starve himself to death. Not suicide, but his life had served its purpose, and it was time for him to go. Meanwhile, the emperor had heard the full story and rushed to apologize to, but he was like,
Nah, my life has served its purpose, and it's time for me to go.